Chinese leader Xi Jinping said today he's, quote, not afraid in reference to his country's escalating trade war with the United States. China increased tariffs on U.S. goods to 125%, but said it wouldn't go any higher. The White House, meanwhile, suggesting it's still open to a deal. CTV's Washington bureau chief Joy Malbon is listening closely to the wording coming from the White House. Joy, where do things stand now?
Well, Heather, the president's taking his annual physical today. When he took the oath of office, he became the oldest president at 78. However, he is posting, and he's saying that his tariff policy is going well, even as China hit back, raising those tariffs on American imports. Now, President Xi weighing in for the first time, he said that there are no winners in a trade war, and he won't cave to what Beijing calls Trump's bullying, calling it all a joke. Yesterday, Trump acknowledged there will be economic pain. China is one of the top suppliers here to America, phones, clothes, furniture, toys. But the White House says Trump remains optimistic a deal can be done. But who picks up the phone first? Here's the White House press secretary.
The tariff rate on China remains where it was yesterday, at the 145% level. The president made it very clear when the United States is punched, he will punch back harder. And he hopes to make a deal that benefits the American worker and our companies that have been ripped off for far too long. And he's finally taking bold and courageous action to do that.
All right, Joy, switching to another story that you're watching for us, the ongoing saga of a Maryland man, Kilmar Garcia. He was accidentally deported to El Salvador, and the U.S. Supreme Court says the administration needs to bring him back.
Yeah, the Trump administration admits it wrongfully deported a Maryland man to that notorious El Salvador prison housing gang members back in March. Now, his wife and family have been fighting to have him returned. The Supreme Court agreed, ruling against the Trump administration, saying that they must facilitate the release of Kilmar Garcia. But the Justice Department said it needs more time, defying the court's order. Here's the White House again.
The Supreme Court made their ruling last night very clear that it's the administration's responsibility to facilitate the return, not to effectuate the return. I believe the Department of Justice just filed another brief in the lower court. I would defer you to that for any updates.
After a tense hearing today, the U.S. District Judge scolded the Trump administration, ordering daily updates on what the government is doing to return Mr. Garcia to his home here. Heather?
All right, Joy, thank you.